Hey guys, Greaves here. I've had a couple of messages for review 13 on how to get the height used in MGH for the pendulum. So let's take a look at how I do that, okay? All right, so I know at some point we're going to use MGH, right? But I got to find what H I use for this pendulum when it reaches its lowest point, right? So step one, right? What we're going to do is we're going to find the length of the pendulum. So find the length. Right, so how do I find the length of a pendulum? Period of a pendulum, 2 pi L over G. Okay, so I use this equation here to find the length. And I think in this particular case, the length was real close to 1 meter. Okay, all right, so step two. All right, so now here's how am I going to find that delta H? Right, so step two, find delta H, and we're going to use trig, right, and a little geometry. Right, geometry. Okay, so let me draw this out, right? So here's the pendulum, right? Now I'm exaggerating the length here, right? So we know, right? So what do I want? Right, so here is the delta H, right? That's that value right there, right? That height. So when I go from here to here, energy is going to be converted to kinetic energy or whatever, I'm not sure what's being asked, right? So how do I find this height? All right, so we know, right, that this height is the length of the pendulum, right? We know that this is theta. And by the way, when I pull this back, I also know that that's L over there as well, right? So what do I have here? Well, obviously I have a right triangle, right? Where this is the hypotenuse, this is the angle. So this length right here is going to be L cosine theta. So there's L cosine theta. All right, well, what do I have? I have L, and I have L cosine theta. So this here is that delta H. So what is the delta H going to be? It's going to be L minus L cosine theta. Okay? So that is how I find, right, the delta H. And I think this was 1 meter minus 1 meter cosine 15 degrees. I think that's what it was. I don't have the stuff in front of me. I just read a couple of those emails, right? So this now, right, is, right, so when I do U, I think this one really wanted the kinetic energy, but U is equal to mg delta H. I know the mass, I know this, and now I know the height. Okay, so that's how I find potential energy, kinetic energy, etc. Okay, all right, hope that helps.